All right, in this video, we're gonna show you how to mark a straight line. And I know whenever I say how to mark a straight line, you would think that any old person could be able to mark a straight line. That doesn't seem something that would be all that hard for most people, but you would be surprised, especially with your circular saw cuts. So you guys at this point have probably been assigned 3 circular saw cuts. The very first one that you've got is 2 3/8. So the easiest way to do this one, it's 2 3/8. 2 3/8 by 8. 2 3/8 is the width, 8 is the length. So we got width and we got length. Good deal. So we're gonna mark this at 2 3/8. Now marking is the hardest problem for most people. I marked there. This, from here to here, the board that I supply you is 8 inches long already. Now my speed square is only 7 inches long. I'm gonna run my speed square up to my line. I'm gonna draw my line. I'm gonna flip my speed square to the other side. Okay, and do that. I'm gonna put an X on this side of my line. This tells me that it's my waist side. I need to cut on my waist side of my line. All right, I'm gonna make sure this video is still rolling. All right. And so for this next part, the second circular saw cut, all right, is 2 9/16 by 12. All right, so obviously, if my next circular saw cut is 2 9/16 by 12, I can't get 12 inches this way because my board is only 8 inches. So what I'm gonna have to do, instead of cutting this way this time, I'm gonna have to cut this way, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spin my board, all right? I'm gonna measure this way 2 9/16. I'm gonna put a mark. All right, hopefully you can see this mark at 2 9/16. I deliberately went over to the miter saw before this video and cut a 1 degree angle on this. And the reason I wanted to show you that, you can't tell that this is slightly more than 90 degrees, okay? If I put my speed square like this, my speed square only works if the edge that I'm putting it on is square or straight to the other side. If this angle is not 90 degrees, and I put something that is 90 degrees in line with it, all right, they're gonna slightly diverge from one another over time, okay? And the reason I wanna show you this is because a lot of students try to use a square to mark this 12-inch line, and you really don't need to use it. In order to mark a line, so what I have a lot of high school students do is they'll take their straight edge. I got basically a metal yardstick. They'll take their square and they will try to eyeball what straight is, and then they will mark straight. Well, I know from here to here is 2 9/16, but I have no way of knowing if down here is 2 9/16. I'm just trying to guess, if that makes sense. Well, that's not a good way of doing things. All right, but that's the way I get a lot of high school students that want to do things. So instead of guessing what that is, you need 2 points. You always gotta have 2 points to make a straight line. One down here, one down here. Now if I come down here and put a mark at 2 9/16, all right, now I've got a point and a point. All I have to do is put my straight edge on my point. Mark my line, and I'm good. So now I'm assured that I've got 2 9/16 there, 2 9/16 here, cut on the waist side of my line, and I should be good to go. I can go ahead and mark off 12 inches this way. Now I can use my speed square for this because it's number one, it's such a short distance, and number two, I know that this edge is straight because it came from the factory that way. All right, now if you got a factory edge, you can always use your square. These, however, are not factory edges. That is not a factory edge. So that's a 1 degree cut, okay? And I wanted to show you, what I wanted to show you is if I put this square on here, okay? This may not seem like a big deal. Your square out 7 inches is already off by maybe 1/16. By the time you get down to 12 inches, you're gonna be off by more than an 1/8. Okay, if I extend that line all the way out on that same plane, we're gonna be at least 1/8 of an inch off. So if you look at here, there's my original line. That's the line I need to cut. There's the line. All right, we got about 1/8 of an inch. This is what happens to a lot of students. They start out, so when they bring me their piece of wood, it starts out right and it grows into being either too small or too large on one end, okay? So you need 2 points. Always gotta have 2 points to make a straight line. And in order to use a square on one edge, you've got to have a 90-degree angle here. Now, one thing that you can do is take this piece here, if you don't know that this is 90 degrees, because a 1-degree angle is imperceptible to the human eye. You can take this piece right here to the miter saw, set it at 0, and chop it straight across. And if you cut it straight across, then you know you've got your 0 degree, right? You got a 90-degree angle with this edge here. Then you could use your speed square if you wanted to. But I just prefer to mark over, make a point, mark over, make a point, and then connect my 2 dots. That way you're assured to have a, okay. Now out of this one piece of wood down here, I got my 2 3/8 by 8. Over here I got my 2 9/16 by 12, and out of this one piece of wood you can get your other measurement, which is 3 1/8 by 16. And I could just put a measurement marks at 3 1/8. Put it there, put it there, mark it. So this one would be 3 1/8 by 16. Mark down 16. Now the reason I have you guys on these circular saw cuts, doing different length cuts, is, all right, the reason I have you guys doing different length cuts, anybody can cut straight for, let's say, 3.5 inches. A 2x4 is 3.5 inches wide. Anybody can cut straight for 3.5 inches. It takes a lot more skill and a lot more preparation to be able to cut straight for 8 inches, and then 12 inches, and then 16 inches. And those really aren't even that long of cuts with a circular saw. If you get into actual cutting with a circular saw and sheet material, you're cutting 4x8 sheets, you know, and 8 foot long is 96 inches. So you're cutting, you know, 8 times the length of that 12-inch piece right there. So if you can't cut straight for 12 inches, then it really would make me wonder if you could cut straight for 96 inches. All right, so that's just how to draw a straight line for your circular saw cuts or anything else. And to me, those are some of the easiest ways to do it. I just want to show you some of the common mistakes that we run into most of the time when cutting with circular saw.